Alrighty, okay. Hey, hello, hello, hi. If you're new here, welcome. Yes, I am always like this. If you're not new here, welcome back. You knew I was always like this. I'm so funny. It is currently 8:22 in the morning. I have a stream planned for 10 a.m. to noon today. So, for some reason, I've also planned to record a current household and just check in, update you on the family. It's going to be a hefty update. So, without further ado, let's hop in this household and see the hot mess that I have left on my plate. This is Mr. Don Dozen, our current patriarch. The last time y'all saw him, he was getting married to his girlfriend. No, to his high school sweetheart, Annabelle. And that wedding was kind of a disaster because The Sims really can't just let me have something. It has to just kill my vibe every single time. But since that has happened, a lot has happened. So you'll notice that Mr. Don Dozen is here at the bar alone, and that is because Don has made a series of very bad decisions in his life. Why is that? I could honestly give you a 4 generations long family trauma history of why he is the way he is. But for now, I will just say that Don has been messy. Don has been messy. Like I said, the last time y'all saw Don, he was getting married to his high school sweetheart. And, some time had passed since then. Years had passed. They really got into their careers. They really got into striving for the top. But let me tell you, they were not talking to each other. His wife really took on the domestic role when it came to his sister's kids and kind of became the mother to one of the twins who you will see shortly. He's the main character now, unfortunately. She kind of became the surrogate mother, kind of got wrapped up in that. And it was really like the girl power trio there for a second, raising Nicholas and Dante, and which is horrible of me. That's very sexist of me to set up. But like, here's the thing: Dawn's father, Frank, was a homemaker. Okay, his kids are both fluent in a whole nother language because of how involved he was as a parent. Okay, he cooked, he cleaned, he did the school events. He was gonna officiate Dawn's wedding, but he died, which is unfortunate. Okay, men be dropping like flies in this Let's Play. I don't know what to tell you. But all that stress after all these years, Dawn, he's a painter. He's a successful painter. He's like the Picasso of this world. Okay, he's Basquiat, just with 10 times more scandal, weirdly enough. He owns his own art gallery and was really focused on expanding that and getting the twins to be excited about inheriting the gallery, because the gallery is just one of those many dozen family heirlooms that floats around the family and nobody really has ownership of it, but it's just something that tells your family history. And Duzzington Cove was incredibly important to him in that way. But I will say, this man started lashing out when the twins took no interest in taking on the gallery. Of course, Dante, he just wants to travel around the world. Dante, he's in it for the exploration, the adventure, the heart pumping experiences. Dante is literally the Laura Croft. He's Laura Croft for real. He's just one of those people that's like, I want to go exploring in a cave. I don't want to sell paintings at an art gallery. And when it came to Nicholas, the other twin, Nicholas was very focused on school, very focused on building a name for himself in the tech world. His grandmother was a very heavy hitting scientist, so he was following in her footsteps, of course, because he's Damiana's clone. He is the reincarnation of Damiana in the worst way possible, okay? So neither of the twins wanted to take on his legacy, and I feel like that's when he started to be a little spazzy. Not a little spazzy, but just a little fresh with his wife, not really spending a whole lot of time together. And any time that they did spend together was just a conversation about having kids. And then, people get older, things change. Annabelle grew into an elder. They were, taking care of the whole household. People get old, things change. And Don was still bringing up lots of conversations about being a father and having a family with Annabelle. And she was just like, dude, what? I'm at the top of my career. I have this big house, we raised your sister's sons as our own, so what if they don't want to take over your legacy? That shouldn't matter. That, who cares? Not who cares, because obviously he's passionate about this, but she was just like, listen, I was fine with you quitting your job because, you got famous off of your paintings, and the gallery, it's not entirely sustainable, but, aren't strapped for cash, and we're still not. But she's like, don't you think it's time in life to, like, start moving on, start passing on, start considering that maybe that path will never be for us because it has not already happened. And Dawn was huffy about that. I keep using these very, like, I don't know, these little me terms when it comes to how they're feeling, but it's really the only way that you could describe how he was behaving, very coldly towards Annabelle and very distant from her. He started seeking out the comforts of younger women, especially because, he had hit the peak of his career, global superstar. He was really basking in that fame, whereas he had been crawling for so long to have it and doing anything he could to still be with his wife. I guess he just took comfort in the thought that he'd be able to have something else with another woman, okay? And he kind of did find that something else with many few girls, okay? And I don't even know who to describe first, okay? If you were on my TikTok, then you know about Laren. She was a vampire who was stalking our family for generations. And keep in mind, Laren is messing with him all the way up until I mention her again. So just keep that in mind. During what I'm about to explain, Laren is still messing with Dawn behind the scenes, and she's kind of like a sugar baby. So every time they meet up, she's getting racks, she's getting treated. Okay, Dawn's a very rich man with some money in his pocket. Get up now. He was prepared to spend it. But during the time that he was messing with Laren, he was also messing with Hannah Alto. I cannot remember what the Altos did. I think her great 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 grandmother, whenever I started the save, was a famous singer, just like Diamond. And the Altos are not as rich as the Dozens, but they're up there, they're affluent in San Myshuno. Hannah herself was, a young, hot model. She had everything in a box of chocolates going on, basically. And for a while, Dawn was keeping it under heavy wraps. Because, no, Hannah Alto had a plan. She had a plan, okay? Because while she was getting dividends, just like Laren was from Mr. Don Dozen, she was also seeing Nicholas Dozen on the side. That's right, Dawn's nephew. He's a super mega nerd, knows in his studies, and suddenly a hot model from a well-known family is approaching him and thinks he's just the cutest, sweetest thing on this planet. So of course he falls for that. We were dating, but Hannah made sure to keep that under wraps as well, so that Dawn did not have an inkling of what was going on. I'm talking about she was on some super spy stuff. When I tell you, when she was sneaking in that house to spend time with her boyfriend Nicholas, and then slipping in the house to spend time with her boyfriend Don, it was scandalous, okay? But Hannah knew that she was on borrowed time, ultimately. It was only a matter of time before, she'd have to make the ultimate move on either Don or Nicholas. because if things got serious with Nicholas, he'd be introducing her to the family, and Dawn could easily unravel all her plans and, like, I don't know, blackmail her. Hannah knew she was on borrowed time, so she was going back to back to back to back to back with them, and suddenly, pop, she's pregnant. Okay, and who was the first person she runs to? Nicholas. I'm so in love with you. I see a future with you. We're so in love, Nicholas. Just love bombing the absolute mess out of him to be like, and I'm pregnant. Isn't that amazing? And of course, Nicholas is like going through finals week. I'm stressed out. His brother is in a different country hunting down crystals and skeletons. He had a lot on his plate, so he was very vulnerable at the time and immediately fell for it and was like, yes, I'm so with you. Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's get married. Let's move in. Let's take the next steps. The next time that Hannah saw Dawn, she was sitting next to him at the dinner table as she was telling the entire family that lived in the house at the time that she was in fact pregnant. That's right, and that her and Nicholas would be getting married. Dawn saw that she was playing chess. She was playing 10 times the amount of chess that he was, cuz his wife was sitting on the other side of him. So he had his back turned to her, looking at Hannah. I'll insert photos, but he also had to face Nicholas. And of course, Dawn isn't going to say anything about that, about like, oh, that could be my baby. I'm like, no. No, he said nothing. He said zero. He said zilch. He said nada. Why? Because he doesn't need to destroy Nicholas's life like that. There is no reason for it. But keep in mind, to him, this was a slap in the face at the time. At the time of the dinner, it was a slap in the face. Nicholas and Hannah are essentially getting the life that he thought he would be getting. And he was mad about it, especially because he had already been messing around with Hannah. And of course, deep within his mind, he knows, as a grown man, he knows that there is 100% a possibility that her baby could be his. That got Dawn's head spinning, because he was like, I could technically have everything I want. The one thing that was on his mind was how Annabelle no longer fit into his dream life. They're high school sweethearts. They got engaged, nearly a week after graduation. They exchanged promise rings. Oh my gosh, Dawn basically did, I was about to call him Damien. Dawn literally did a fake proposal to her in high school, being like, we could get married right now. I don't care. And that's because back then, Annabelle fit his vision of what his dream life would look like. Like, she was a star athlete with scholarships and was from, a well-known family. And he just saw the dream life being mapped out and thought they were soulmates. Thought that there is nothing that I would not do for this woman. But Dawn quickly discovered that as his dream life was being turned away, because Dawn has always been meant to be a stay-at-home dad, just like his father before him. He's just like, I was meant to have my painting career and raise my little family and be a grandfather. Diana, as they got older, started to be a lot more affirmative in what happens with the twins and, really stepping up to be a parent, while Dawn was barely struggling to, connect with the twins in a parental way. Let's just say when the twins were kids, Dawn was an awful parent. When I say was the maternal circle taking care of those boys, Dawn was barely helping. That was ultimately the cause for their divorce. And you may think, Dawn's so horrible for divorcing Annabelle just because she wouldn't have kids with him, even though he waited all this darn time to really do something about them having kids, and he was just passive, and, they could have been adopted. It's what caused Annabelle to ultimately be like, no, we're done here. I will not be First of all, Hannah was going to be moving into the house, and she's like, you know, young couples multiply like rabbits. So I'm just going to be stuck for the second time in my life having to take care of kids and juggle a career. Like, when I say she was the MVP, she was the top, she's like, Dawn, we just need to hunker down on what we're doing financially and just keep considering the twins to be our kids. I don't want to have to take care again of kids and then have to pitch in to help Nicholas and Hannah take care of their kids. Like, she wasn't down for it. She wasn't. And Dawn tried to talk her out of it, as trifling as he is. Because, of course, part of him didn't want to lose the love of his life, but, you know, he messed that up too. So, after the divorce, things kind of settled in the household. Diana was very, very suspicious of what was going on just because, you know, Dela, that is Hannah's first child, whose father may or may not be Dawn Dozen, and whose father may or may not be Nicholas Dozen. She was just very suspicious. Diana was very suspicious because she's like, first of all, Dela did not have the temperament of either of her twins. Okay, when the twins were little, they were rambunctious, troublemakers, you know, fussy and upset and angry all the time, need to be held, need to be talked to, you know, very, very needy babies. Needy and also just very attached, I'd say. Dela was very independent, was very much like how Diana remembers her mother telling stories about how Dawn was as a baby. Very easygoing, could entertain themselves, you know, a very happy-go-lucky baby. So, before Diana's suspicions could be confirmed, Nicholas and Hannah already had that second kid on the way. Okay, and this house is getting crowded. It's getting crowded with her second pregnancy announcement. Laren also saying, Dawn, I'm pregnant. Meanwhile, Dawn was hitting the top of his like the top. Like, he was getting a star on the Walk of Fame. Laren was like, I'm pregnant. And the pressure in the house, I will say, Hannah's only saving grace was that Laren was now pregnant, and Dawn planned on marrying Laren. And Diana, of course, she could say a lot of things about how messed up this appears, even if she doesn't know about, you know, Dela's true or untrue fathered connection. It's still, like, messed up that she would be like, wow, my brother divorced his wife, and then not long after is playing super dad to, you know, his nephew's baby, but then turns around and tries to do the same thing of recklessly getting married and moving in, and as if he himself is in his 20s, you know, acting like he's trying to steal her son's youth by walking in his path in a weird way, you know, trying to destiny swap with him. But at the end of the day, she's like, this house is expanding. It's getting very crowded. Some of us gotta move. And that was the hardest decision for me. I think I moved out Dante first with like 2 of the dogs. Diana had to back up to go live her own life, so she didn't have any time to really assess the children's behavior. She just noticed that at some point Delilah had been born, Nicholas and Hannah's second child, or first child, however you split it. She noticed that Delilah was very uppity, very clingy. She very much was attached to Diana instantly, whereas Dela had kind of latched on to Dawn for some reason. And she's just like, that's weird. But before Diana could even investigate all of that, Nymeria was coming into the house, so was Laren. And she just needed to skedaddle with her little poochie Duchess, who I hate so much. And let me tell you, having 2 pregnant women in the house with another child is taxing. Laren gave birth to Nymeria, and she had given birth at home instead of at a hospital, and then disappeared into the night a few hours later, never to return. So she just left Dawn with their child. At some point after Nymeria was born, Hannah got pregnant again and had Rhaenyra and Alexander. Rhaenyra and Alexander look completely different from the entire household. I'm pretty sure any rumors of like, oh, who's the dad is dispelled by looking at how all these mixed race frick fracking kids look completely different from each other. Like the twins are redheaded for frick's sake. Like it runs in the Dozen family line, the red hair gene, and like of course so does Hannah's, but like they're both redhead, tan skin. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to join the pond, become one of my precious little pond dwelling tadpoles, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!